Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name's Shannon Krebs and I do product marketing and strategy. Prior to that, I was actually at Oracle for 15 years where I focused on many parts of the Oracle solution. I was in operations and a buyer in the purchasing department. I did training around the world and also spent time in our development organization focusing on TCA and OPSFI, both of which are integral now into Release 12.
I'm Neil McLean and I'm a management accountant. Formerly an Insight Software customer, I worked at Cairn Energy and we used Insight Software for 5 years, and I'm now the product manager for Insight Unlimited.
So we thought today we would first start off by talking about some major initiatives that happened with Release 12 and how they really have an impact on reporting. So the first one is ledgers and ledger sets.
So in Release 12, they've changed a set of books to be called ledger, so it's mainly a terminology change and actually doesn't have a major impact. However, they've also introduced ledger sets, and ledger sets can allow you to group together multiple ledgers to increase your performance over period end close and consolidate over multiple ledgers at the same time.
Multi-area access control. This is great because it now allows users to access multiple operating units within a single responsibility. In the past, if a user wanted to access a US operations and a United Kingdom operations, they would have to log in twice with each responsibility. Now, with a single responsibility, they can go and enter in invoices across OUs. It's been really useful in shared services organizations.
They've also introduced a new tax engine. In 11i, it was really difficult to be able to replicate the real-life tax scenarios within Oracle eBusiness Suite. This has been resolved in R12 with a very, very powerful tax engine that allows you to pretty much do any real-life scenario within eBusiness Suite. This is a knock-on effect, and the complexities involved in that engine are significant, and it's definitely an area that you should investigate in detail.
Great. There's also subledger accounting. Subledger accounting is this new rules-based engine, and it slides between your subledgers and your general ledger. So in the past, when you would post something, if it would go directly, say, an AP invoice that was approved, information would go directly into the general ledger. Now we have this new SLA layer, which has a rules-based engine associated with it. And with that engine, you can make changes to accounting information, you can make changes to journal entry, header or line descriptions. It's a really powerful engine, but it also is going to change the way you might actually access information.
There's also a new trading community architecture, and the idea behind this was to consolidate all the customer, suppliers and bank information into the one area, allowing for easier reporting over that. But as a knock-on effect, your 11i upgrade, the bank models significantly change and the suppliers significantly change, so any reporting that you've got over those areas is going to need to be redone completely. Also, the information that you're currently storing within the 11i will also need to be analysed to make sure that when you upgrade, the consolidation of that information is correct.
So once you've made the decision to move to Release 12, which really isn't as much of a decision to make anymore as support for 11i is pretty much near the end of life right now, but you've made this decision to go to Release 12. A couple of the things that people are looking at now is if they should upgrade or re-implement. When Release 12 first came out in around 2006, so it's been quite some time now, a lot of people that were moving to it right away, those early adopters, were doing so because they were taking advantage of those major initiatives. So they might have had something like a whole new organization structure they wanted to implement. Maybe there was a chart of account change that needed to occur. So it was a need to go through and do a major re-implementation. However, as the software has progressed and as time has moved on, people are actually just going on and doing straight upgrades now. And Neil, you're going to talk to us about your upgrade.
That's right. When I worked at Cairn Energy, I was involved in an R12 upgrade project from 11.5.10 to 12.1.3, quite a common upgrade for most people. It was a 6-month project that we did in 2012. I was the lead consultant for accounts payable, payments, e-business tax, and I also supported the reporting, HR and GL upgrades. We had a number of areas that we focused on, and there was certainly some problems as we went along. The AP module significantly changes. The payments and e-business tax are completely new modules, so you need to do a lot of investigation into those areas and see how they're going to fit with your current processes and what processes you can change. And there can actually also be the opportunity to make your processes better when you're looking at the upgrade process. Additionally, when I was doing some analysis, in the accounts payable area, I found that when we upgraded, there was significant difference in the data for accounts payable due to bugs. And this required a lot of reconciliation and working with Oracle to find patches to resolve those issues. Now, since 2012, Oracle have introduced a tool called the Master GDF tool that will help you identify and fix that, and we'll give you the information about that at the end of the webinar.
Great. So did you just jump straight into this, or what did you do to prepare for your implementation?
So a couple of months before we did the project, we sat down and we had a look at all the areas that were changing within R12. This was a lot of internet research, a lot of reading, talking to partners, trying to get a hold of some customers that had already done it to see what their pain points were. And I would thoroughly recommend that everyone does that kind of process. But additionally, we reviewed the current processes that we had within the business to see how they were going to change, so that we became experts in those processes. We then analysed the changes within R12 and compared the two, where we could then present to our business the benefits of upgrading to R12. And let's be honest, one of the major benefits of upgrading is continued support from Oracle, so that's why most people are doing it. But there are other benefits out there, and it was making the business aware of those benefits and just giving them the information they needed to make the business decisions whether to improve their processes or continue as with the processes as they are.
So we thought we'd take a look at what are the reporting options that existed in 11i. So the main ad hoc inquiry tool that people used was Discoverer, either on 10G or 11G. And that really is the main reporting tool that people had for getting information out across the system. Because if they weren't using Discoverer, they had to rely on things like standard reports in Oracle. Standard reports really just bring back standard data. There isn't an innate way to easily modify those. There were RXI reports that you could use as well, and those really started in the assets team, where they created these fat extracts you could take out and manipulate data with. So another tool is Apex, which is really an IT reporting tool that was originally designed to help support and build new applications. But a lot of people have used it really as a reporting tool because it's pretty powerful in terms of taking information and aligning it. However, it really is a tool for IT. We have XML Publisher, which is really just something for output. It allows you to take information and display it in a more user-friendly fashion. So we could put some formatting in with reports to make documents that are available for, say, customers to see with invoices. Reports Manager and ADI were there, and as well as FSGs to really help you with your financial statements in terms of creating output for those financial statements, allowing some limited drill down, and really a way for publishing and storing that information. Of course, if people wanted to create their own reports, they could do so through Oracle Custom Reports, and that's an option for, again, IT to get involved to help create information and pull it out for people. Then there's OBIEE. Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition. So this tool is available to really help you create a great dashboarding solution. It can give you information to really see how you want to measure across your organization. So you can set up certain measurements and see how you are going against those. It's a really nice tool at a CXO level for someone who's looking at high-level management information, not necessarily used for drilling down to real day-to-day transactional details. So what happened actually, though, with all of these tools is people would take the information and still export it out to Excel. So even though Oracle offers a variety of reporting options, at the end of the day, people never really got exactly what they wanted from the system, which then led to just multiple data dumps out into Excel for people to kind of get the information that they needed. Now, what happens in Release 12?
Well, in Release 12, there was a number of expectation changes about how people were going to be able to get their data out of Oracle. They were actually expecting it to be a lot easier and for a lot more of it to be delivered out of the box. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case. Let's start off by talking about Discoverer. So that's became end of life now. The original message was that Discoverer would be continued to develop, but we'd all seen there'd been no development in a number of years. Now the official message is Oracle are pushing people towards OBIEE, and that Discoverer is no longer supported. You can also still use the Oracle standard reports. However, some of the technology behind this has changed. Obviously, the ones that Oracle provide are still there. One of the expectations behind Oracle standard reports was that you'd be able to get them straight out in a usable format. Now, that was meant to be using XML Publisher, which has now become BI Publisher. However, even though that option is available to go in and edit those reports. Oracle haven't done it as standard. Now there are a few reports where they have done it as standard, but the default is generally a Word format and isn't very usable. The BI Publisher gets promoted as an end user tool, but as an end user, I didn't find it very useful at all. It was quite difficult to comprehend the functionality within there, especially if you're looking to repeat information in an Excel type format. This often leads to the cost of getting developers in to do some more IT work, and you go through the change process to add in that kind of reporting. You've also still got Oracle Applications Express. It's undergoing major development all the time. It's a big product. However, it's definitely still an IT product. It's never going to be anything but an IT product. And to be able to use it, you have to understand many coding languages, not just SQL, PL SQL, but you're also talking JavaScript, HTML, and Apex developers are expensive for the very reason that they know so many languages and they're able to pull in that additional information. So to use it for reporting is underusing its capabilities, and you'll spend a lot of money to develop those reports because the Apex developers are more expensive. You've still got Oracle Reports Manager there. You can go in and install the reports as they were before. The desktop ADI is now gone completely when you upgrade from 11i to release 12 and has been replaced with Web ADI. It's not as slick and smooth as the desktop ADI. People use desktop ADI for reporting. Web ADI is more designed for uploading information into EBS. You can again customize it so that you can download information, but I don't think I know anyone that does that, and again it requires an IT developer. FSGs haven't really changed much. The technology I think was designed in the 80s or something like that, and it's still the same. Oracle have introduced the ability to drill down, which is a great new feature. However, it only works in a particular template layout, so you can now export FSGs into Excel using the layout, and then you can have the drill down available there. Unfortunately, the drill down doesn't stay in Excel. It takes you back to Oracle, so you've got a single OA framework web screen for that one transaction, and then you have to go back to the Excel and drill in another number, and God forbid you have more than 10 rows of information in that account, because you have to screen through rows of 10 at a time. It's pretty unusable to be honest. You've got Oracle custom reports, so yes, you can still customize your Oracle reports. In fact, some of the custom reports that you've already got in 11i might work, but the reality is some of the technology's changed, and due to the other initiatives that we mentioned earlier, you are going to probably have to rebuild a lot of those reports. So perhaps it's an opportunity to look at other reporting options and not just take the default path of let's upgrade what we've got. Perhaps it's an opportunity to move things forward and make it better. Oracle have also supported the addition of adding the Fusion Accounting Hub in R12. Now it's actually a plug-on and not a replacement for the Accounting Hub that's in R12. And what happens is the information is interfaced between the two versions, allowing you to take advantage of some of the benefits of the Fusion Accounting Hub. Obviously the major disadvantage is it's data replication and you're breaking the link. Moving on, you've got OBIE. It's still available. They've introduced some more content packs and some more support there. It's a very expensive tool. It does dashboarding very well. It's not so good at operational reporting, drill down and real-time information. So if you're looking to do ad hoc inquiries, you can't exactly get a developer in and spend a week building out a new report for you to do your ad hoc inquiries. So not something you'd really look for. And also still when you look at this whole package, the main focus is just to export everything still into Excel. And as soon as you do that, you've broken the link to your information, you're repeating formatting, you're doing a whole load of work over and over that really doesn't need to be done. If you go out and look at some of the other solutions out there, this can all be automated and stored in a secure manner that allows you to take advantage of replication.
Great. So people are really coming back to, what are the real business problems that I want to address in terms of upgrading to release 12? Some of the big issues they have right now is information is just trapped inside the ERP. So a lot of people will think that as part of the move to release 12, I'm going to have easier access to my information. But it turns out it's still as difficult to get to as before. And as you've just seen, the tools haven't really changed to allow people to access that information in any quicker or easier fashion. So as a result, they're still dumping things into Excel. It's kind of the constant, with all the issues Neil just mentioned before, including things like security, because you now have information that's outside of your system and that could be floating around. Also, you end up with often multiple versions of the same report. When you might show up at a meeting, everyone will have different versions, and you're often working with stale data. A big issue as well is you still are relying on IT to create and modify all of your reports. So often, especially in the cases with something like Discoverer, a user would go out and request a report. You'd often have a request process you'd go through to design something, spec it out, get a quote back from an internal or external resource to create that. Once it was created, it's never perfect the first time. So a user might think, I need this column, or can you add a calculation here, or perhaps I want to pivot on this variable. Whereas in the past, you'd have to actually go to someone in IT to fix all of that. So it builds a reliance really on usually an individual or a team to get things done when you just want a simple answer.
And I would definitely say that it's not really the IT's fault that this happens. IT aren't finance experts, they're not business experts in those areas. So actually where they add value is doing the sort of more technical side. So as an accountant, it's not their fault either, because when they go out and they say, I think I need this report, you don't always absolutely know what you need, especially when it comes to ad hoc analysis. You just don't know what you need. So that results in people creating massive data dumps that they pull into Excel, and that's really bad practice. It's not scalable, the information's all with one person, it just doesn't work so well.
No, absolutely. And as a result, just like you said, you're having a hard time aggregating and consolidating your information, so it's not flexible enough for you. So again, it's all of those Excel dumps you're creating. Or if you're trying to find something in Oracle, you're often stuck with multiple screens or sources to get to your data. So just like Neil said, even if you can create something in an FSG and you drill down, you're going back into a web-based page within Oracle. Or with the introduction of Release 12, you'll see that Oracle has moved to more of a self-service type approach within the financials. But the end result is you still have core forms versus web-based forms that people are moving through.
Yeah, so we've got an example here just to talk through. And starting off in the general ledger, you would want to perhaps drill into an account. So you've got one screen there. So as soon as you drill into that account, you can get your balance information for that account. So that's screen number 2. Okay, right. So let's drill into that again. So you're on to screen number 3 just to see the journal line information, and again it's old core form, so it's not actually that easy to see this information. So chances are I'm going to export that to Excel to find what I need to then come back. So then I'm on to screen number 4 to drill in. So this now leverages the new R12 subledger accounting. And what you can see here is we've went to the new OA framework type page where you can get some further information about that. Now what would have been nice if Oracle had just put in the subledger information here and I could get my answers. Well, that would be 4 drills. Not so bad, not ideal, but not so bad. But actually you don't get any more information in this screen, so you have to drill again. Now you're at the header level of your transaction, so great, and I now know in this example it's an invoice I'm at, but actually what was the distribution I was looking at? What was my account I was looking at to start off with? I forgot. I'm going to have to go to the distributions here. So we're at level 6. Wow, imagine having to do that for 100 transactions in a bank account. It's going to take you forever. It's so cumbersome, and it's not intuitive, it's not user friendly. And it just doesn't really work. Certainly if I was looking for a solution, I'd be looking for something that perhaps did all that in maybe 1 or 2 screens. Give me my GL account with the journal ledger information on it, that I can have a subtotal to see the balance, that I can then drill down and see the subledger information under that. I mean, that would be ideal, I think.
Yep, and to be able to see a level of detail that you require as well, because as you said, you're starting from scratch again and again. So if you decide to go to the next transaction or look at another period, you've got to back up and start all over again at the top. So there's not a real easy way to maneuver between these screens and information within Oracle. So if we think about what users really want, Neil, what are some of the things that people are really crying out for as part of your implementation?
Well, when I was doing the R12 upgrade process, the biggest thing that people were concerned about was not losing functionality. The main reason behind that is they've got a business process, it's taken them a long time to put it in place, there was a lot of pain with the original implementation, they've got fear of that re-happening again, and it's really important that you investigate properly and make sure that there is no loss in functionality, and where it's changed, make sure you can actually still do the business requirements. People were definitely expecting to get more information in Excel. Now, you have to take a step back and say, why were they wanting in Excel? Because actually Excel's not, it doesn't store the formatting, you can't consolidate the information up, you can't drill down. So actually Excel isn't part of the solution, it's probably more part of the problem. But it's just what people expect, and unless you take a step back from the whole process, perhaps you won't even realise that there's a better way of doing it. Definitely people are looking for ad hoc reporting. One of the things that's really difficult in Oracle is to get some good ad hoc reporting. What generally happens is you'll go in and run a standard concurrent request. You can't add the filters that you want, so you pull out a massive chunk of data, and sometimes it can be 40,000 rows, do you know what I mean? It can be a massive chunk of data. You then filter it in Excel, you change some columns, you do some formatting, you know, you're a couple of hours at least to get the report that you're looking for. And that's per ad hoc request. You don't know how many of them you're getting a month. So how can you size your finance department when you don't know how many of these blocks of a couple of hours you're going to need to do? So that's a sort of level of risk there as well. Definitely people want to be able to drill down, you know. R12, you've seen they've introduced the ability to drill down. It's definitely a step forward, but as I said, it'd be much nicer to be able to just do that straight out of the box, just have a solution that allowed you to go from a higher level detail and drill down. And what'd be even nicer if you're looking at reporting solutions is, why do you have to be able to just drill down? What if I could drill across? What if I could drill back up again? Absolutely, flexibility around drilling is where you need to be thinking. And definitely less reliance on IT. I mean, if you have to go to IT as an accountant and ask for a report, you're building tension between departments. It comes back to the whole thing of, I need this report now to do this. In a week's time, it might change. My business is really dynamic, it changes. I don't know what I'm going to need in a week's time, a month's time, a year's time. So how can I be expected to give the IT person what they need? But also from an IT perspective, it's not adding value to the business. They want to be doing strategic projects that are transformational to the business. They don't want to be spending their time building reports and changing columns and reports. It's not anything that the business would want to happen. So definitely a tool that removes that reliance in IT. Oh, and definitely an additional thing that you might not see and you might not think about when you're looking for products is make sure you're looking at products that adhere to the security you've already defined. I'm pretty sure you've spent a number of months coming up with that security. Do you know, there'll be many people in a team, many people spending time in meetings to come up with the perfect security settings for your organisation. So you don't want to have to spend that time rebuilding it in a third-party solution. So absolutely make sure that out of the box you get that security that you've already spent the time and investment in to get it the way you want it.
So why do we think Insight Unlimited is the answer for you? We really have 5 key things that will help address a lot of the concerns that Neil just mentioned before, and really anything you might be thinking about when you're looking at upgrading or re-implementing Release 12. The first is that everything is real time. So we're a real believer that when you're accessing information out of Oracle, you want to see an accurate reflection of what actually exists at this moment in time. So static data might be fine if you're looking at long-term indicators or seeing how I've done over the past month or quarter or year. But for example, if you're doing your month-end close and you need to make an adjustment, you want to see that information accurately reflected in whatever you're doing. You also need a tool that's going to be flexible. So just as Neil said, I need to be able to change my information or slice and dice it. I need to be flexible, or a tool that's flexible to really help out the business with what they want. So you need an option where a user can go ahead and make changes on the fly without requiring an IT group to get involved to help them with that. And so that really goes to our next step here, which is making sure there's a tool that's intuitive. So we really want to put the power back in the business user's hands so that they can access the information that they need on their own, again, without having a reliance to go back to another group. And that really gives you the ability to answer your business questions quickly and easily, which helps save money and time in the long run, and really the short run. Secure. So it's really important that your information and your security is set up once, and you don't want to be worrying about setting up security in multiple environments. So you really need a master source of truth for that. And at Insight, we read your Oracle security settings, so there's not an issue about maintaining security in multiple places. And then finally, you want everything to be fast. Fast in terms of getting your answers in minutes, not days. Fast in terms of implementation. Insight actually can be installed and configured in less than a day, and people are ready to go. So the way things work now, everything is about speed and getting information to people in a fast and quick manner as opposed to taking days or weeks or months to actually get something done.
And I can certainly talk to that. When I worked at Cairn Energy, I'd actually only been with the organisation 2 months when they decided to buy Insight Software and implement it. And being in the e-business team, I was tasked with rolling out Insight Unlimited throughout the organisation. Now, I didn't know the data set. I worked for an oil and gas company. I'd never worked for oil and gas before. I didn't know Insight Unlimited. I'd never used the tool before. What I did know was business processes. I was an accountant, so I had that rapport with the finance staff, and I was able to really dig into what people were looking to get. Now, what was really helpful for me is when I started rolling this out, I was able to easily drag and drop to build up reports. Instantly, people thought I was some kind of superhero, because before they hadn't seen any sort of reporting out of Oracle that was easy and intuitive, and instantly we were able to build suites of reports for teams in less than a month. In fact, the whole process, the whole rollout throughout the organisation was literally a month and a half, 6 weeks to roll it all out, and that was at all levels. We rolled it out to executive assistants, to finance staff, to management, procurement, even had the CFO logging in and running some reports. Now, what we found was really good. They could go in and get the information they had. To start off with, people didn't quite believe the results, and then we gave them the drill down capability so they could see the results, and then they were able to find the problems in the other processes and help address them and make sure that everything was actually worked more smoother and better for them.
Great. So when we're talking about this move to release 12, some guiding principles and things you should make sure you're thinking about. So first of all, just like Neil did, checking out reporting tools and how they're going to fit in with your organization. So that's a really key part of looking at all of the options that Oracle can provide, as well as maybe looking at third-party tools as well and see what value you can get out of that. Yeah,
definitely. And there's lots of tools out there, and as we said before, key things to think about is your drilling capabilities. It doesn't always need to be down. Making sure that you're not relying on Excel. Excel is not the solution, it is part of the problem. And definitely making sure you get your security out of the box as well. And real time's always a bonus.
Absolutely. There's also a lot of new functionality in Release 12 that's really going to have an impact on your reports. So you're going to have to rewrite for a lot of these areas. So there's a whole new payments manager that's out there in terms of accessing or creating payments and then accessing information about what's been paid, when, how, to who. All of that information has changed. There's a new advanced collections module, so collections information is split up now. The whole introduction of AP invoice lines, that means all of your AP reports are going to need to be rewritten and looked at differently. And that goes as well with suppliers, with the introduction of TCA and the supplier model. That's all completely different. So you're really looking at a big project to just look at these few areas we're pointing out here.
That's right, and it's not only you thought you were just doing an upgrade process. Actually, a lot of your stuff around this area just won't upgrade, so you need to think of it as some areas as actually a re-implementation. And if you're looking at re-implementing so much of your reporting, why not just look at some of the other third-party solutions that are out there?
Yep, absolutely. And part of that is also identifying what your users really need to know. They'll often come to you and ask you for a report when they're really just looking for an answer. So it's often really going back to those initial requirements and saying, well, what is it you're actually trying to get at? Are you trying to create a report that's 100 pages long so you can get the answer that's on page 62? Or do you need some really powerful filtering criteria where people can just ask a really quick ad hoc inquiry to get the information they need?
Yeah, definitely, and that's something that I've seen out there. People are used to using things like Discoverer, and because they weren't intuitive and they didn't have the filter selections and they needed IT support, they worked around all these problems. And what happened was they took massive data dumps. So when you go back and ask your users what they're looking for, they're saying, well, I want my massive data dump. But they don't want to spend 2 hours formatting a report to find their answers. Actually, what they want to do is be able to answer the original question that they had. And these are the things to step back and really think about.
Absolutely. So also it's important to decide when you're going to introduce the reporting aspects into a project. Don't wait until the very end. It often happens with things like training and reporting that you're all ready for your rollout and then you realize, oh, I probably haven't answered these questions for people. So it's really important to introduce the reporting concept into your project early on so you can plan for it appropriately and also make sure you're getting the right information across.
Yeah, definitely. One of my big things when I was doing the upgrade project was reconciliation. Actually, because I'd mentioned earlier the generic data fixes, the bugs in accounts payable when you upgrade the information was so fundamental that I was absolutely relying on a reporting solution that meant I didn't have to rebuild and put into Excel and format, because I had so many issues that I would have been there for the rest of the year, I think, trying to resolve that. Now, I was quite lucky. I had the Insight Unlimited there. It operates over both 11i and R12. So what I did was I had a version open of each. I ran the same report and I checked my numbers came back. And when they didn't, I drilled in, I got the answer, and I emailed it off to my Oracle support. And then they investigated, gave me a patch, and turned out that patch didn't even fix it. I had to start all over again. Now, luckily, that was just a case of pressing the run button. Now, if it had been anything else in Excel, that would have been another couple of hours, and then to go back and get another patch. Now, fortunately, since 2012, things have moved along a bit, and Oracle have introduced the Master GDF, which is on the My Oracle Support ID listed on the screen just now. And that's a great tool to help you. So you download it, you get your DBA to install it. Now, the DBA can run it, or they can set it up as a concurrent request. And that allows you to identify transactions that are damaged by the upgrade process. And it also gives you the suggested My Oracle Support ID that holds a patch to fix that. Now, that's great. It's not the end of the solution, because actually you still need to do another reconciliation to make sure the patch has worked. So definitely things are moving forward, but there's definitely work out there to make things better, and a good reporting tool should really help you do that.
And I think what you just said there was really important about there being out-of-the-box content for you for 11i and Release 12. So you were able to compare your information really quickly. And that can actually help get users involved as part of that upgrade process, where they're going to know the data better than an IT group is. So they're going to be able to spot issues or areas that aren't reconciling right away. So from a next step perspective, we think it's worth taking some time and checking us out, just like our over 900 customers worldwide, including Neil's company here.
Yep, I'm right on the screen there, Kern Energy.
Great. So we hope that you've gotten some good information out of our session today. Please take a look at insightsoftware.com. We're happy to schedule a demonstration of the software so you can get an idea of how this can work to help you out.